China's double carbon strategy sets an ambitious goal to peak carbon emissions before 2030 and to achieve carbon neutrality before 2060. Reaching these goals will require technological innovation, economic transformation, and new forms of global cooperation. But it also requires something equally important: a generation of graduates who understand the climate challenge and who have the knowledge, creativity, and responsibility to respond to it. For educators, this raises an important question. How should teaching evolve to prepare students for this changing world? Imagine the world today's students are stepping into: a world of rising seas, unpredictable weather, food systems under pressure, communities forced to adapt faster than ever before. Climate change is not only altering ecosystems, it is reshaping economies, politics, and daily life. So what does it mean to prepare students for a world like this? Across the globe, educators are beginning to rethink what learning should do, not only to explain the climate crisis, but to help students imagine their role within it. Education can become a space where learners understand the science, grapple with complexity, develop practical skills, and discover that they are not powerless. This is the starting point for action-focused climate education in the Open University's Institute of Educational Technology. We begin with a simple but difficult step: facing the reality of the climate crisis. Learners explore its causes, impacts, and global consequences, but they also explore something less visible: the emotional responses it can create. Concern, uncertainty, sometimes even despair. Education must acknowledge these feelings while helping learners to move beyond them. We ask educators to begin imagining how climate education can support understanding, resilience, and hope. And we ask them to begin developing a practical action plan too. Because climate change cannot be solved alone, we prioritise exploring collaboration across disciplines, across communities, across borders. So our learners might contribute to shared knowledge platforms, participate in citizen science projects, work with data collected from around the world. And in these activities, education becomes something larger than a classroom. It becomes participation in a global effort to understand and respond to change. Knowledge alone doesn't solve problems, though. And that's why our overarching focus is on action. What difference can individual choices make? How do political systems and economic structures shape what is possible? Why are some communities more vulnerable than others? Our learners explore climate justice, the reality that those least responsible for climate change are often the most affected. They examine civic engagement, public dialogue, and the many ways people around the world are working to respond. The goal is not to prescribe answers. It is to help learners see that informed participation matters. Responding to the complexities of climate change requires new skills for the educators we support and for the students that they teach. Learners explore how images and stories influence public understanding, the power of the creative arts to invoke emotion and to support empathetic understanding. They analyse information critically in a world filled with competing claims. They begin to think in systems, recognising how environmental, economic and social factors interact. Learners also examine the responsible use of digital tools. Technology can help people collaborate, learn and act, but it must be used thoughtfully, recognising its environmental impact. In this way, learners develop the judgment needed for a complex world. Addressing the climate crisis requires brave, bold, imaginative approaches. So, in our teaching, we also ask a powerful question. What happens when disciplines begin to work together? Climate change touches every field. Health education can explore climate-related illnesses. Business education can examine sustainable decision-making. Artists and storytellers can shape how societies imagine the future. When these perspectives meet, learning becomes something even more imaginative. students begin to see how their own discipline can contribute to solutions, and their action plans take concrete shape as practical steps forward. The climate crisis is one of the defining challenges of our time. No single course can solve it. But education can change how people understand it and how they respond. Action-focused climate education supports educators in designing learning that is informed, creative and collaborative. Learning that equips students not only to understand the world they inherit, but to imagine the world they can help create. And sometimes, the most powerful response to a global crisis begins in a classroom.